Hi, I'm Laura Sarchet, and I'm the Inclusive Higher Education GA at the University of Rochester. Today we are talking about task analysis. To give a little context, task analysis is something that helps all students, but especially students with disabilities. You may have students from the BOCES program in our tour classes who are auditing classes with you. You may have students registered with the Office of Disability Resources, and you may have other neurodiverse and neurotypical students in your classes who benefit from task analysis. The objective for this session is that you will develop your understanding of task analysis, its importance, and its tools to continue to promote executive functioning skills in your students, and to identify one action step towards making your practice even more inclusive. So the guiding questions for task analysis are, what are the multiple steps of this activity? Does the order of the steps matter? What are the goals of this task or activity? Are there signals that act as built-in prompts in the activity? What sequences and descriptions should I provide? And are there tools needed, such as materials? Are there prerequisite skills for the activity? And what subtasks within the more complex tasks do I also need to describe? So if you have any activity, you can apply these questions and create a task analysis where you are breaking down the activity into multiple steps and sub-steps. And I'm going to give you several examples of how you might represent this to help your students. So some examples with some visual supports for students who need that are here: packing a lunchbox and also getting the mail. So as you can see, there are the steps listed with each material, the lunchbox, opening the lunchbox, and then each item that gets placed in the lunchbox before closing the lunchbox. So a student might need this level of support. So we might provide them with this visual, and we would talk them through the visual, model how to do this, and then also then eventually fade away the talking and the modeling so that they can do the activity without our assistance, but with this task analysis still as a helpful tool. Similarly, the steps for getting the mail, again, visuals with, in this case, there are steps listed out in order, and the order does matter. So they're listed in numerical order, and then they're written out as sentences with visual supports for each sentence. So this is an example of a little bit more language rather than just visuals compared to the first example. But again, still seeing the purpose of the task is to get the mail, and the steps within that are broken down to the level of detail that is needed for this particular individual. Triggers or signals are something that's built into an activity that naturally happens and then reminds you to do the next step of the activity. So for example, in my job, a signal or a trigger is when a professor emails me, that signals me to read their email and then answer their question. So that's something I don't need a reminder to answer faculty emails, because that's a built-in trigger when they send me an email. So another example of a task analysis with signals is how to make sure that you're getting your correct glasses and lenses. So, and again, one of the reasons I love this task analysis is that it has the desired outcome. So we're always focusing on what is the goal for this activity. So the purpose is to get a new pair of glasses with the correct script and make sure that they work and they are repaired. So if something in the trigger column happens, this signals the person to then follow this task. So if someone has this visual, then they know what to do when they lose their glasses. They would look and say, okay, well, the goal that I have now that I've lost my glasses is to get a replacement pair. So the tasks that I would do is to reorder a pair, get an express delivery, and receive the glasses. So that's an example of a little more complex task analysis for a particular goal of making sure that your glasses are appropriate. Again, a little more complex. This is for planning a trip or traveling. And so this is built into phases with tasks that are broken down. Oops. So in the preparation, you have to choose routes, document your planning, purchase tickets, and subtasks of that might be specific starting points, destinations, and departure times. There are some signals built in. So when there is a disturbance, we have to realize that a disturbance has occurred. So again, parts of task analysis might not be things that we initially think of, but we have to think about, well, what is part of this task that I do without even realizing it? And that should be added to the task analysis for someone who needs a little bit more support with executive functioning skills. So again, recognizing that a disturbance has occurred, things like recognizing that an emotion is happening. So recognizing when you're feeling upset or angry, and then what do you do with that emotion? Those can even be examples of task analyses. And again, task analyses are useful for all individuals, and they promote an inclusive work environment for us too. For employees and employers, multiple situations require task analyses. So this is an example of a job that someone might have with operating a particular plant mechanism. So the pieces of that are all indicated here, and with subtasks. So when this happens, here are the different things that go into each subtask. And that's a great way to kind of visually and through words represent the different operations that are going on, and to document the thought processes that happen when you're completing a specific activity or a task. So one important piece I want to mention is that when we are helping an individual with task analysis, we should also consider the autonomy of the person doing the task. So if a student is struggling with something and you recognize that, and you think that it's appropriate to help them by building a task analysis, we want to make sure that the goal of the activity and the task is actually relevant to the person. So is this even a task worth doing? An example of this would be for a student who struggles with tying their shoes. We could create a task analysis for how to form the shoelaces into the correct shape and then tie the shoe appropriately after putting on the shoe. However, the goal of that activity is to be able to wear shoes independently. So what if we provided that person with Velcro shoes instead of shoelace shoes? And that completes the goal of the task of tying shoes by giving someone shoes that they can wear independently, but they don't have to go through the subtasks of the shoe tying. Instead, they're using Velcro shoes. So just an example of thinking about, is this task really worthwhile? What are the goals of the task, and how can I achieve that purpose through another mechanism that may require less support so that a person has more independence and autonomy? Similarly, we can involve choice in the task analysis. So we should involve the student or the person who we're helping with the task analysis. Whoever's going to be doing the task should have a lot of say. So for example, in the lunchbox example, I would, before creating a task analysis, ask the person who is going to be packing the lunchbox what they would do and what they would like to put in the lunchbox and what order they would like to go. And maybe it doesn't matter if the napkin goes in before the banana. That's something that they can definitely have choice on. And promoting independence by having an individual try a task first without the support. And then if they do need the support, building that support with them rather than just giving them the support through the task analysis. So again, we're always thinking about inclusion and independence and autonomy as we're working with individuals who need a little bit more support in the executive functioning areas. So this week, I'd like you to think about one task that you can break down for your students or yourself using task analysis. You could also view a resource on our YouTube channel or reach out to me with any professional development. You can reach me at ihega@rochester.edu. Thank you.